Welcome once again to Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast from glorious Alhambra adjacent.
I was about to correct you, and you did it on your own. Good for you.
It's just saying Los Angeles doesn't really give it that, doesn't give it the pop.
Well, it definitely doesn't tell you where you are because
Yeah, it doesn't.
sprawling.
Exactly. But here we go. So that's the new thing, at least for now. But I always enjoyed.
Let's get some Alhambra adjacent T-shirts.
Alhambra adjacent. We're living large in the shadows of Cal State LA. There you go. That might help too.
That could help.
Busy show here, and Vince LaRosa, Max Bretos, as we are coming off the Vancouver game. And as you all know, getting ready for the Galaxy and all the hullabaloo around LAFC with the arrival of Giorgio Chiellini, who is here training,
He is.
and the imminent arrival of Gareth Bale. We will do our three things that stood out about the Whitecaps, and a very special guest. We're going to be joined by Eddie Segura.
I can't wait to talk to Eddie.
I really can't wait.
It makes me so happy. The fact that he's going to come on the show means he's in. He's fully back, as we got to see against Vancouver. So that's what makes me most happy. But just on an aside, Eddie Segura is the best, like the best of best.
And we have such a huge investment for this club, too. And you can see it there against the Whitecaps. I mean, he's working things out, obviously, but he still felt pretty confident playing a high-volume passing center back, mobile, who can play in positions. You just see that, and you're like, those guys don't grow on trees. It's certainly not in this league. But it's great to see him, and we'll be along for the development. Didn't want to just talk about training, that we were here, and I will say the minute we signed Giorgio Chiellini, in my mind, I was looking forward to this day where I took the turn after Team Security Paul doesn't let me through the gate for 15 minutes and thinks it's hilarious, that I'd come over here.
Hey, don't fix what's not broken, you know?
It doesn't. You're right. It would be weird if he didn't do that. And then I see Giorgio Chiellini training with the side. Immediately, the first thing I see is him turn to Chiqui Palacios and say, I didn't hear what he said, but it was like a coach.
He was demonstrative, and he was pointing to different spots. So he was definitely telling him. He wasn't asking him like, "Hey, where do you want to go have lunch later?" He was definitely talking about
you
football.
You should be here. I'm going to do this. This is what you should be looking for. And then he flipped over and did the same for Mamadou Fall. And I go, that is the fruit being bore already, right?
Yeah.
That is what, of the many things that Giorgio Chiellini could bring, that was certainly at the top of my list, I know. And now I got to see it firsthand.
Well, you and I were both sitting there training, and actually to add another layer to the story, we're sitting with his agent, Davide Lippi.
It's so exciting with all of this, right?
Yeah, and so we're trying to, we know it's his agent, so we're not trying to hammer Chiellini this, that too often, but we both saw it, and we just kind of were quiet, and then we looked at each other like, that was cool, right?
That was cool.
Like you said, that's kind of what we always imagined, but it's hard to know how it's going to happen, right? Because you want him to be demonstrative, you want him to coach up the teammates, but he's new. He's still new. He's got to earn his stripes a little bit. I know he's Giorgio Chiellini, and
he can't just come in and start. Yeah,
I think there's a delicate balance. I think there is definitely a respect from his teammates for him, for a guy that's done pretty much everything you could possibly do in this game. But again, he came here and he was super humble. He said, "I'm just going to be another guy here." So you wonder, how is it going to work when it all comes together? And it looks seamless. The guys were definitely they were glued to him when he was giving out those instructions. And as you said, he gave the instructions, and then literally as it played out kind of exactly how he arranged the pieces and arranged the guys. So that was pretty cool.
Came out and said hello to everyone.
I will say, because you got to meet him, you got to shake his hand when he came on stage, and I was a little jealous. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And
we're boys now.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten to talk to him, and then he just appears. Hello, good morning. And I sheepishly was like, good morning. Hi, Giorgio. I want to say so many things, but I kept it in. I would try to be professional.
We talked about the presence here with his agent. And look, Giorgio Chiellini is a brand. His name is a brand. People gravitated. And even after he's done playing, he's going to make a living off that brand in whatever way of life he goes. Now, we should also mention Gareth Bale is a brand. And we'll follow soon. So they have people. They have people. They're going to have an entourage. And it's going to add an exciting layer around here, because with that entourage, there's interest, and people in Italy and Great Britain are going to keep tabs of it because they care about these guys.
Yeah. And we'll try to give you as much
insight. And we're here. So
we're literally here to give you the stories. That's what we like to do. But we'll try to be professional. One thing I did today that was not professional, Max,
is wear that jersey.
No, I had to wear it because I had to show the captain that I did, in fact, buy his jersey. This is a Carlos Vela jersey. If you don't know, I wore it.
Turn around really quick so we can show what's on the back.
Well, so that's where I
got a little signature.
Yeah. So Paul nicely
John Hancock
brought me to see Carlos, and he goes, "There you go. You finally got it. you're good. You can stay here as long as you want. And then Carlos was nice enough to sign it for me. This is the kids, if you're trying to get into the business, don't ask for jerseys, don't ask for autographs. I have never put a player's name on a jersey until now, and I still have not asked for an autograph. Paul helped hook me up on that. But yeah, that's my first LAFC player autograph.
As an investment, now that jersey has been signed by Carlos Vela, plus once worn by
Vince LaRosa,
doubled in value?
At least.
It's interesting. Okay, let's get into it. And I know the Galaxy here, and it's going to be a big week, and you're going to hear a lot about it. And we will talk about it here. We like to be first in. But we put a bow on the Whitecaps game with the three things that stood out. Tough game to call. And I guess we should say this about Vancouver. When we think about all the clubs in Major League Soccer, and they have that incredible shot of the skyline of Vancouver, and you see what an incredible city it is, and how it's near the top of lists of, fair to say, cities that people would like to visit.
Yes.
In North America, without question. I've never been.
It's a beautiful city.
I've never been. I want to go, and it's on my short list of things to do soon, especially in the summertime. And they have a stadium that's cavernous and bigger than they need.
It's got a lot of
Doesn't have
history,
the
but it's
atmosphere.
time to.
Yes, and
Vancouver.
they draw about 16,000. That place seats about 55,000.
Yes.
And it's the surface, which I talked a lot about the broadcast, and it's hard to get into.
It doesn't look good. It's not just the surface; like the lighting in the place doesn't look good on TV.
So we hear a lot about, and look, a lot of stadiums have flaws, and every club does, and they need to work on some things.
Not here.
Not here, right? But if we talk about New York City FC, and they got to get out of Yankee Stadium, and we mentioned the same thing about New England at Gillette, or maybe even playing in football stadiums in general, where you want to get there. Vancouver kind of slides under the radar.
Yeah.
And the reason it's concerning, because it could be so good.
I think it's because they're polite.
Maybe. That could be, they get, they spend
because New England gets a lot of flack, but to your point, I think if Vancouver gets a soccer-specific stadium that has a grass field, I think they're more of a destination than if New England does do what they're saying they're going to do, which is move closer to Boston and get a soccer-specific stadium. I think Vancouver still becomes much more of a destination.
Yeah, and Bruce Arena even said that. He mentioned a new stadium in a quote I saw on Twitter.
Recently, yeah.
Maybe that's in the works very soon. But Vancouver kind of slides under the radar, and we'd love to see it because it's a very special place. Anyhow, to the top three things that stood out. And we talk about our guest, first and foremost, Eddie Segura. Jesus Murillo was coming out, and I said on the broadcast, I go, okay, it makes sense to bring in Eddie. He got like 3-4 minutes in the game against FC Dallas, but are you going to give him from a jump to 45 minutes? That's a lot.
On turf.
On turf. So I wouldn't believe it was going to happen until I actually saw it. And just the growth from that and the conferences we already touched on, very promising, encouraging.
Yeah, no, I think, one, just getting out on the other side with no injuries. He was out here training, so clearly he's fine. I think we all had that first bit of trepidation when we saw there was a substitution and we go, oh, it's Eddie. We got excited, then we go, oh, wait, turf. But he made it through. He's playing in a 3 center back system where you're going to be on the ball a lot more. You're going to be moving the ball between center backs, and I looked like the same guy, honestly. Obviously, the turf is a problem in terms of passing and the way you deal with the ball, but I didn't see. I just wasn't concerned. Like, it came into my head first thing when I saw him, and then I didn't think about him the rest of the time because that's kind of the way he plays. Like, he comes into mind and go, okay, Eddie's in the starting lineup. I feel good about it. And then you don't really see him unless you're looking for him because that's the way he plays. That's the way he reads the game. And I thought that's the way that rest of that game played out. It really it felt like it settled the defense a little bit even.
Sebastian Ibiaga moved over and he made some space, but obviously a position with a ton of responsibility, and he was ambitious with some of the balls he wanted to play, which will come around. You got to get your tape measure out a little bit so you can kind of get used to that all again, and it's a great development for a club that is just stockpiled on center backs. And we the news of Daniil Henry moving on, and he's been first class with us, and had a chance to say goodbye, I suppose. And he even pointed out, it's like this is the center back situation is here, where a guy like Daniil Henry, who could be a World Cup player, has to go find a new club.
He does, and I feel for him. It became a numbers game.
But it doesn't make sense for him to be. You're not going to probably get through. Incredible group of center backs.
I think mutually, I know that he would probably say he would want to be here because this is when we first talked to him. He goes, "I want to be in LA. This is a destination I want to be in. It's a great club to play in." But as things kind of went along and as Eddie got healthier, he himself was unlucky with a couple injuries. I think mutually he's thinking exactly what you're saying. I got to play. And if it's not going to be here, could you guys do me a solid and let me go find my next club? I'm sure he's wondering where that's going to be, but ultimately it's about getting on that plane with Canada because he is a guy, he's one of their top center backs.
In the mix. Yeah. He actually played in a back three where he was the libero, where he's the center back. So, I mean, they have plans on him, but he has to play. And I think we feel comfortable in the fact that there's going to be a lot of teams that need help there.
I think teams always need center backs. I know they don't heavily invest in it, but this league is growing by leaps and bounds, as you can see by a guy like Giorgio Chiellini coming in to play for LAFC. So there's plenty of teams out there. I think his phone's going to be starting to ring here very soon.
That's a good thing. Giorgio Chiellini here, Andy Segura healthy, Sebastian Ibiaga exceeding the expectations that may have been placed on him if there were any, but he's an everyday player for the last month. Mamadou Fall. And that is a group of guys that anyone would love to have. One or all four of them, obviously, here at LAFC.
It's an embarrassment of riches at that position.
And Jesus Murillo, of course, who's been rock solid.
Yeah, no, Jesus Murillo's been best 11 quality. I will fight anyone. I know people are like, I don't know.
Was an all-star last year.
Yeah, the way he plays, I know that it's sometimes not pleasing on the eye because he's a little rough and ready. But at the end of the day, the situations that he's in and has to get the team in and out of, it's tough to find another center back because there's a lot of good center backs in this league, and I know a lot of people point to like a Walker Zimmerman. He plays in a system where he doesn't have to do quite the amount of things that Jesus Murillo does, and that's not a knock on Walker Zimmerman. He's still a very good center back and also an all-star quality center back. But just look at the way Jesus Murillo plays, and you have to kind of put that into your adjustment for how you view him because he's asked to do a lot.
Good position. And by the way, when we talk about the Whitecaps, it's obviously a tough loss, and that's been a house of horrors lately for LAFC. They've won 1 in the 5 visits there, and the other 4 have all been Vancouver victories. For whatever reason, it's a tough place for LAFC. And it's a
tough
huge
place
edge
for a lot of
Vancouver.
teams,
it's
though.
A tough place. They're very good at home. But I think you don't have to be so upset about the end result. If it was a scoreless 90 minutes, you're like, oh, yeah, now I'll take that all day and night with the fact that you
a couple minutes away from a point. Everyone was on board. Like, we know what the game plan is here. We know what's going on. We know what the rotations and a couple other things going on, which we'll talk about. I think everyone was very happy, and I think it's only because it came in the 89th minute that everyone got a little bit of the gut punch. Right. Anytime you get scored on the 89th minute, it's a gut punch.
So I was going to say the good stuff. I had good stuff at 3. I'm going to move that up to 2. So
okay, let's move.
Because I kind of jumped it.
Yeah,
let's move it up to number 2. And what you can take away from this. So they obviously played an experimental 11, a formation that was a little different because horses for courses, that's what you had. And they played a 3-5-2. They were able to rest Carlos Vela, so he'd be available for
number one. Good thing. Carlos Vela did not play, did not travel, did not have to deal with that turf at all. I'd say that is a very good thing.
Chiqui Palacios
also got
suffering a suspension, but he's got to get a break in the process. Remember, we had 2 games the week before, so it's been pretty demanding. Plus, a decent level trip to Vancouver, and then Kellen Acosta, who would have been been suspended if he was booked.
Right. So
played and was able to get out before picking up the yellow.
So you had Sifu suspended, and you had Kellen 1 away from a suspension. You had Cheeky also 1 away from 1 yellow from a suspension. You get to leave Cheeky at home because you're able to play Hollingshead and Franco Escobar.
I said Cheeky suspended, but I meant Sifu, but yeah, Cheeky.
So you get to play Hollingshead and Franco Escobar, which is great. It's great to see Franco getting a spell of minutes where he's just able to slot in there, no injury concerns. But then you look and you start to say, okay, Kellen's 1 away. But we need Ilie to get a little bit of rest. But somehow they managed to get Ilie the rest that he needed. He didn't come in till into the 60th minute, and Kellen avoided a yellow card in a match where could have gone either way. I mean, Cavallini got a yellow card for just randomly swatting at somebody. I mean, Kellen, that very well could have happened.
Get a yellow for doing the
and then didn't get a yellow for elbowing a guy. But there you go. That's MLS refereeing 101. But that's scary, right? When you're thinking about all the different combinations. And I would say, again, another good thing, and that's for those people wondering, like, yeah, but we need to get points and we want to win the Supporter Shield. I get it, but I think, and look, even look back to the Premier League season. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I can't remember where they went. Maybe it was Liverpool-Watford, where Jurgen Klopp rested a lot of his players and said, I got to roll the dice. Worked out for them. They ended up pulling out a win, but there's always a risk when you do that. But I think once or twice a season, you're going to run into these things where you got injury concerns. You got guys you need to rest. You got too many games in a week. It's a traveling, and you just got to roll the dice and say, this is the best team I think I can put in now, considering all the stuff that I need to keep in mind going into Friday.
They did that against Columbus, right? Remember they had a
Yeah, in
lot
a way,
of,
yeah.
and they got a win in a weather interrupted game.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
It works, sometimes it doesn't. But it almost pulled off there. But again, it wasn't nice on the eyes. It was hard, it was a hard watch, certainly, and that takes us to the third point, which was the stats, which were a real
Stats were
head
rough.
scratcher. Because you said, okay, what are they, how many shots on target they got? Maybe 2, 3. I know it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot. It was 0.
0.
And then maybe more surprising, the corner kicks. Vancouver had 12. And LAFC had 0 again.
That was the corner kicks was the one thing throughout the match that I kept, because we did the watch along with Connor and I kept looking at him and go, that's the one thing I'm worried about. Because Vancouver didn't seem to get out in transition and counterattack quickly like they like to. Cavallini was a non-factor, but when they just kept racking up corner kick after corner kick, especially late in the game, and yes, it did come back to bite them. They and Ilie would say this, he should have put that into safety. They actually had it covered. But when you get that many corners over and over again, you feel pinned back a little bit.
You were thinking maybe Ilie was looking to maybe get them going on a counter.
I'll have to ask him, but I'll go ahead and say this. I think
that's gonna be a good conversation.
This will be a good conversation. Well, I think Ilie is.
He will. He'll give you a good answer.
He's one that can give me a good answer on this. I think that if he starts that game and had it been 88 minutes suffering with his teammates, remember Mark Dos Santos, suffer. You got to suffer. I think that he just clears it because he understands point in this instance. I've been running around for 88 minutes. Let's just get it and let's take the point. Let's get out of here. However, because he's fresh, and if he makes that pass, not saying it's the right decision, but if he makes that pass, it's Danny Trejo and Mahala going 2v2 against 2 of their defenders that are just kind of rest defenders on a corner. So not the bigs, not the normal defenders. You could very well get 3 points out of there, but I think it was a decision made because he's like, I'm fresh. I can make a play here. And sometimes
because it wasn't really like him. He's always the right moves.
Oh, he was in the exact right spot to pick off that ball in the first place, and then it happens. It really does. When you try to play at the back, you try to make a play. Sometimes that happens. I would say 9 times out of 10, Ilie does the right thing in that instance. But yeah, I'll have to ask him. See, curious.
Okay.
He'll probably be like, never talk to me again.
I'll be over your shoulder to hear that.
Yeah, you'll be far away.
So there you go. Don't fret. Look, we've had it really good here, and those 2 home wins and being in first place. Now some of these clubs, namely Austin, and nudging a little closer, as have the opponents for Friday. The Galaxy are now in 4th place, so we'll spin it towards that. First thought is things will return to looking a little more traditional with the 11, a back 4, I am sure, and then the guys who didn't play, Jose Cifuentes, Chiqui Palacios, Carlos Vela, all probably come into this game. And it's good, too, because Carlos Vela, who didn't play here, you worry about, we've had these matchups and we never get Vela Chicharito. We're going to get that again, and that's good.
I hope we get the Carlos Vela that played against FC Dallas. He was incredible. Didn't have to necessarily affect the scoreline, didn't have to see any crazy curlers, but just his availability and his way of stitching the team together. Obviously, anytime we can see an assist from Carlos to Chicho is a great sign, because I know a lot of people were worried about, could those 2 play together? Seems like they've started to figure out some things. And I think the Galaxy played very well at home against Montreal. And it seems like this is the way it always goes, right?
But that's a bright spot for me, because my fear was LAFC comes flying high, the Galaxy come in hard on their own luck, not getting results, and know the only way they can pick up the pieces, which
by
they've
winning
done
this
it
game.
before, is spoil the party for LAFC. Well, now LAFC doesn't come in flying high, and the Galaxy don't come in a rot, because that was maybe their best result, a clean 4-0 victory, Chicharito scoring. Good spirit amongst them when you see. I mean, Chicharito probably takes these penalties. Jovic took it, and he
that was
won away. And those 2 had a nice moment.
Chicharito's not been good at penalties, so that was probably a good idea.
It was. Jovic is
he's a good player.
To me, he's a guy that could cause a lot of problems, and he has in the past for LAFC. So whatever role he has become a much bigger part of what they do. And anything that the LAFC do, I'd be surprised if Jovic is not starting from the beginning. Anything LAFC do has to include a game plan on how to defend him.
It's interesting, though. So I agree with you. I think Jovic has to play. But if you play him and Chicharito, that's now 2 forwards. And look, they'll run around. They do press a little bit. They're not lazy in any regard, but it's 2 guys that are kind of, once you bypass them, they're out of the mix. It's not. I don't think it's normally Greg Vanney's style to have 2 forwards. So interesting where that where they suffer in other areas. Because especially if you
You're
play,
suffering.
well, if you play Efra, right, as one of the wings, as one of your creative guys, and maybe you have Victor Vasquez, that's now 4 guys that if you bypass them, they're not necessarily going to back press. So it's an interesting tactical battle. I'm curious to see how Greg Vanney does sort that out. Like you said, I think LAFC will be as we expect them. 4-3-3. Vela back in. The defense, I think Ibiaga, Murray play again because they've been so good as of late. I think that trio of Kellen Acosta, Sifu, Ilie is back in.
Either Franco or Ryan on the
Franco
right
or
back,
Ryan, yeah, you got
and
to
then
choose.
Cheeky.
Cheeky left back. I mean, Cheeky's like top of the list as of right now on that team sheet. Brian, you got to hope can get back to fitness after having a little bit of an injury that kept him out of Vancouver. So a few choices for Steve, but I still feel like it's pretty. He's got his lineup probably in his head.
And maybe some minutes for Giorgio Chiellini. We're trying to find out what.
Maybe even some minutes for Gareth Bale if he gets here in time.
I don't know. That seems well.
Well, an attacker, you would say, is you feel a lot more comfortable throwing him on for 15 minutes than a defender. But Giorgio has been here for quite a few training sessions now, so he'll have.
What happened to be the situation? I don't think you just play him unless you feel like it's a move that's going to help bolster the chances. And who knows what it looks if LAC are winning by a couple goals or if they're trailing.
Game state will matter.
Game. There you go. Well said. But I think we see some minutes there. Gareth Bale. More details, I'm sure, to follow. But as you can see, by the way, I was talking to Imad Shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Every Gareth Bale social media post.
The Bale bounce. That's what we're calling it.
Wow. I mean, it's astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, hey, a few extra 100 likes. It's like a few extra tens of thousands of views.
Just wait till he's on this podcast.
Can't wait. Can't wait to see his entourage.
Yeah. We'll have to give our list of questions beforehand.
Yes, probably that case. So Julian Araujo had a good game. I mean, that's another guy that would worry me a little bit.
He's always a killer against
That was
LAFC.
one of his better games because he's been struggling lately. So the Galaxy come in good form. And as I repeat to you, I think that's a good thing because they've been that injured animal. And, man, they lick their wounds when they get in that LAFC game.
Yep.
But it's going to be different. I would also
LAFC is a different animal at home against the Galaxy. We at least have that to lean on. I know a lot of people worry about whenever we play the Galaxy, but it has been different at home as of late.
The prospects of them losing this game obviously leave everyone with a really bad thought because lose 3 meetings home and away really swings this rivalry into the favor significantly. So that's going to add the pressure, and players know about it.
Mm-hmm.
They know they can relieve it with a win. But I don't want to sound too cliche, but you almost have to approach it like you approach the Dallas game and say, let's not get over emotional. Because I think we saw it in that first meeting. We saw the emotions really on the sleeves, running over.
A lot of the newer guys were saying all the right things.
They knew,
stuff
but
that we wanted to hear.
They
knew how important it was. They were taking it very serious, but you felt like maybe they were just taking it that one level above where you start to get tight, start to worry about making mistakes. So I agree with you. Look, we don't want them to lose for the 3rd time. Essentially, that'll be a mentality test if it does happen. I don't want to jinx anything, but if it does happen, because ultimately they'll still be top. They'll still be near the top. I mean, this should be kind of just another game. It's not, though. It's one of those weird oxymorons where you have to treat it like another game. LAFC will be just fine in the table even if they do drop points, but I think mentally you got to get over the hump.
It's tough. Look, we all think about it. Your worst, your worst dreams might come into fruition here. So you don't want to think about it too much. But this LAFC team's been very good at home, and I guess that's the big picture here. You're in first place.
What do you think their podcast is saying? Oh wait, they don't do one.
They don't?
No.
Some independent podcasts.
They have some independent podcasts, but I'm saying they don't have this kind of access to their training facility and players.
You're very lucky.
Yeah.
All of you very lucky.
For all those people that are maybe on the fence. And there's probably a couple of people that will listen to this podcast from time to time and go, I'm picking a team based on the podcast. Just saying.
So MLS Cup is obviously the target, but right now a realistic target for LAFC to get, because they're in the catbird seat as we talk, is finish in first place, get that supporter shield, get your ticket to the CCL, and you're really good at home. So the home games obviously are illuminated, because if you win your home games and you get a couple good road results,
you'll never see turf again.
You will not see turf. You won't see Dignity Health Sports Park.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone will have to come to you because you can see how important. And even better to finish first because you get that bye as well. So that is the realistic goal that you're approaching right now. And it continues here on Friday.
Couldn't say it better.
Okay, good. You probably could. You're very articulate and eloquent. We'll leave it at that, and we'll get you ready for the Eddie Segura interview. We'll talk about his injury, his comeback, what was it like playing, and what's it going to be like going shoulder to shoulder with Giorgio Chiellini at some point. It's Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast. Let's put some Micklers down in Denmark. Very good.
Take 3.
Hola, hola.
Well, mira, estaba...
¿Está bien?
Ready? Okay.
Yes.
We're back here on Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast, and thrilled to be joined with Eddie Segura. We're going to do un poquito en inglés, un poquito en español.
Okay.
Pero,
Try.
let's try. Pero you've been working on your English.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I had to learn, and yeah, it's better for me if I learn it. Yeah.
We were so happy to see you, man. Para verte jugar, it was so good to see because we know you've been through so much with the knee injury. Before we talk about you coming back, what was it? How was it like to get ready to come back? To know that you still had to put in all this trabajo para llegar a la cancha.
Sea en español.
Dilo en español.
Sí, la verdad que muy emocionado porque después de tanto tiempo, de tanto trabajo duro, de mucho esfuerzo y poder volver a la cancha con este equipo, con esta familia, la verdad que fue algo muy especial. El primer juego en casa, cuando entré unos minutos, el cariño de la gente, de la hinchada, fue algo muy bonito para mí. Estoy muy agradecido porque me hicieron sentir el cariño y pues eso te hace entender de que el trabajo que has hecho y lo que siempre haces, pues has dejado un poquito de huella o lo estabas haciendo bien, ¿no? Entonces, con muchas ganas de seguir recibiendo ese cariño, de seguir creciendo y pues de aportarle al equipo lo que pueda ayudar. Aquí estamos preparados para eso.
Okay, you can help me with some of the translation, but it's coming back, all the hard work, and you think about that as you get into be able to play, but the support was great, in particular in the Dallas game where he came in for those final 3 minutes to feel the love, and I think we all felt it there from his teammates and the fans. That was important, and to continue to feel that love is motivation to get through. I think I paraphrased a bit, but that was it. But
That was good.
Coming in against Dallas,
Yeah.
that Dallas game was, when you first came out there, that was
Yeah, it was
special.
good. Yeah, really good, really good. I love that.
Good man.
Well, when that happens, and I know you tapped your chest to kind of acknowledge the fans to say, like, thank you.
Yeah.
How do you focus? Because you're probably a little emotional at that moment, or is it just all game? You're focused?
Sí, pues todo el partido siempre estoy muy concentrado. Bueno, lo que en ese partido fueron unos minutos, pero se sentía el cariño, ¿no? Siempre estás muy concentrado, pero algunas veces alcanzas a escuchar todo y ese cariño y todo fue la verdad que muy especial y de todas formas no me saca del partido. Sé que fue algo muy bonito, muy bueno, pero sé que tengo que estar ahí 100% concentrado en la cancha al mismo tiempo.
Kind of talking about how you want to be concentrated for that moment, you want to be focused, and you were, but you take a moment every now and then to hear the fans and feel that love because he obviously putting the time in. I'm going back to his first answer as well. It's just a reminder about why this place is very special, but had to remain focused and concentrated throughout, but you still get that. With the game in Vancouver, so you go from like 3 minutes into playing 45 minutos. What was the coaching? What does Steve Cherundolo say to you about when you come back, how much work are you going to get? Where we go from 3 minutes to now a full half.
Bueno, pues también fue un poco de sorpresa, ¿no? Nadie esperaba que el golpe de Muri en el juego y yo creo que pues lo que hablamos ahora, ¿no? El estar preparado, el trabajo duro que había hecho durante tantos meses para poder volver. Yo creo que no era esperado porque pues era una cancha artificial, pero de todas formas ya estábamos preparados, ¿no? Estábamos ahí, estábamos listos.
Even for el cancha, he mentioned a little worried because of the artificial surface. He was surprised when he got the call, but when he saw the Murillo injury, that we were ready and had that conversation. Pero was there any conversation sobre la cancha or?
Sí, pero un poco, pero ya estábamos ahí, ¿no? Ya desde que viajé con el equipo estaba preparado. Bueno, lo pensé mucho obviamente afuera, ¿no? Justo me va a tocar en una cancha artificial, pero
No,
bueno, ya yo pensaba también, no, hemos trabajado muy duro, ya todo va a estar muy bien.
yeah, you're a little concerned about the artificial surface, but you just want to go, and you felt like you put the work in when you'll be ready for those kind of situations, and he was really happy to do.
We worried. We
We
saw
worried.
you
We were
coming
like-
in, and we knew the turf, and we worried. But then when you got through the game, it was like, oh, good. He's good. He looks good. Because when you play the style that you play and the way you are out there, you have to almost look for you if you want to find you, because you're not rushed out there. Like, you read the game well. So it's like you came in, we were worried, and then it was over, and it was like, oh, Eddie was fine. We didn't have to worry about him. My question to you though is, what did you miss the most? I know you're a guy that you barely come out of games, and then we sadly didn't see you for 9 months, 10 months. What did you miss the most about playing?
Yo creo que ya lo que más extrañaba era estar con el equipo, poder viajar, poder sentir que ayudo también desde adentro, de que hago mi aporte desde los 18. Obviamente cuando estaba afuera también trataba de aportar como fuera, pero ahora ya que estoy más adentro, pues siento que puedo poner un poco más para que el equipo siga creciendo. Sea que juegue, sea que no, siento que ya ahora puedo apoyar un poco más y todo.
So, being able to support the team, you missed being with them, you missed traveling, pero extrañaban en los aviones y todo.
En los viajes
Being-
en la cancha,
being
jugar
with them.
aquí, jugar en casa. Ajá.
But you also mentioned about how you do your best to support the team, but it's a different feeling to do it from inside, to be on the field and do that, because it's a long time where you can do everything you want, talk to your teammates, but to be able to do it on the field is a very special feeling. ¿verdad?
Yeah, perfecto.
Ahora puedo hacerlo adentro y afuera.
Sí.
I love that Eddie's correcting your translations.
I
That's how good his English has got
I
it.
know, this is what I want to say, because you don't want to take his words out of context. But,
No, I think anytime an athlete.
that was a good answer.
Yeah. Anytime any of the players, I mean, you guys come from Colombia and you speak Spanish, and just trying to speak English. Honestly, it reminds me that I need to learn more Spanish. Like, you guys are so brave. Like, to do that, it means the world that you're even here and willing to listen in English and then speak in Spanish a little back and forth. We think it's incredible. We do.
Ya. Thank you, nada. Y para mí antes lo pienso como que tengo que aprovechar, ¿no? Estoy en un país donde la lengua principal es otra y yo creo que para mi vida, para mi futuro, pues si lo aprendo va a ser una gran ventaja. Entonces hay que aprovechar el que estamos aquí, el que lo puedo aprender. Obviamente como que cuesta un poco por toda la comunidad latina. No cuesta porque nos hacen la vida más fácil, pero cuesta en el sentido de aprender el idioma, de aprender el inglés, ¿no? En eso. Pero de resto, la comunidad latina siempre te hace sentir en casa. Somos de diferentes países, diferentes culturas, pero siempre hay algo por ahí que va igual o que te hace recordar casa, entonces es muy lindo eso también.
To take advantage of the opportunity to learn the language, because it's the main language here. Although we could argue you could speak in both languages and get away, but that's kind of what he also addressed with the Latin community here. Doesn't matter if you're Colombian or wherever you're from, they're very welcoming. But that's when you're with that group, you habla español, correcto? That makes it easier for you. But you said it's important to kind of get out of that comfort zone and learn it, because it's going to help you if you're working, if you're playing in the United States. Yeah.
That makes sense.
La llegada de Chiellini. What did you know about Giorgio Chiellini? Antes, before, and now that you know him, what were the...
Nada, de todo, ¿no? Con la trayectoria que tiene, la experiencia, los títulos que ha ganado, todos los años que ha jugado. Yo creo que es un gran fichaje para nosotros, para todo el equipo en general, porque yo creo que tener este tipo de jugadores te ayuda a crecer más como viéndolo como entrena, como quiere seguir ganando. Yo creo que esa mentalidad nos va a ayudar mucho a nosotros para que sigamos luchando por nuestro objetivo y para que sigamos aprendiendo de una persona que ha ganado tanto, de que que ha sido un líder adentro y afuera. Yo creo que nos va a ayudar muchísimo y yo como compañero de posición, la verdad que estoy muy feliz porque tener la oportunidad de compartir con Giorgio, una persona que lo ha admirado mucho, es un referente mundial en su posición. Entonces, la verdad que estoy muy feliz y espero poder aprender mucho.
When you first arrived, obviously you knew about his trajectory, about what he's been able to do in his successes. Being able to learn from him in training is very important. But he is a reference, a world reference at his position. So because I play the same position as well, there's a great opportunity here. But obviously his reputation precedes him to be here, and that's a very special situation to have. Anything that you've in the first couple trainings that he may have learned from?
Sí, pues se nota la presencia cuando llega, cómo está siempre indicándote.
When the pressure's coming, he notes it and he goes, "That's
Ya no, como que siempre está donde tiene que estar. Ajá.
Positioning, how to get in there, yeah.
Y siempre nos está hablando, indicando.
Siempre está hablando.
Ya,
Sí, always talking.
Y cuando tiene el balón, la verdad que también es muy bien y con ambas piernas, entonces.
And that's you too, because he says he's really good with the ball on his feet, but that's the kind of defender you are, where you can use both feet. And so it's a really good reference for you, Chiellini.
Que sí. Espero poder aprender mucho y ahí estamos para ayudar a todo el equipo.
To help all the team, but we're looking forward to that as well, certainly from his perspective. But I see it there because I see a lot of similarities in the way these two defenders play, and the idea you can have two like that, they could use their feet. If whoever starts in the back, if it's Eddie and
two, sometimes
Giorgio, or three, that opportunity will come up.
You play the Galaxy on Friday. I know for you it's a special match. You love getting up for these rivalries, for the derbies. How happy are you that you're fit and you can take part after not being able to be a part of the first two?
Esos partidos siempre son especiales, ¿no? Yo creo que un partido aparte a los demás, obviamente. Y siempre quiere uno ganarlos y siempre quiere uno estar ahí y yo creo que son los mejores partidos porque se juega al 100%, no se puede regalar nada, tienes que estar concentrado todo el partido y cuando ganas pues la verdad que lo disfrutas mucho, entonces yo creo que va a ser un partido muy, muy bueno, muy bonito y estar ahí, si tengo la posibilidad, habrá que estar preparado y aprovecharla, ¿no? Porque son los partidos que todos queremos jugar.
This is the games that everyone wants to play, and if he has an opportunity, we'd certainly like to play it. It's the kind of game that you have to be completely locked in, 100%. You cannot take any moments off, and to win those games are obviously very sweet. But we know how important it is for the players, and it's always a great occasion to be able to participate in those games as well. We hope we get to see you in there. What's it been like with growing together? Because Jesus arrived maybe a year later, but Chiqui and Sifu, the South American players that you guys are very close with, what's it been like to crecer together, juntos, en este club? How's it helped you? ¿Cómo te ha ayudado?
Bueno, la verdad que nos hace la vida más fácil, ¿no? El tener todo este tipo de compañeros nos ayuda, obviamente, a apoyarnos, a encajar más fácil, a sentirnos cómodos dentro del equipo, porque si bien llegas y encuentras un poquito de similitud en tus culturas, yo creo que se hace mucho más fácil, ¿no? En tu lengua, en todos tus gustos y bueno, yo creo que hemos encajado bien, en parte lo que va la temporada, esa unión, esa familia que hemos hecho, yo creo que se ve reflejada en los puntos y en todo el trabajo que hemos hecho durante toda la temporada. Entonces, yo pienso que es lo más importante, la unión, la familia y en el equipo que estemos siempre ahí apoyándonos, yo creo que nos va a seguir ayudando mucho hasta el fin de la temporada.
And you mentioned familia, but se siente como familia with these guys. These make you feel...
Sí, con los latinos y todo el equipo, porque la verdad
que
the same, everyone, hay muy buen ambiente, muy buena como compañerismo, todos queremos ir para el mismo lado, entonces se trabaja y se siente.
Everybody wants to go to the same place when you're all out, whether it's the Latinos, whether it's the whole team, you feel that family. You just mentioned about the other guys, but having guys in a shared experience obviously is going to help you in transition. Learning a similar language also is very helpful in that big process of things. But just to what he touched on about family and how important that is, just not with the Colombian Ecuadorian players, but the entire squad is very, very important. Eddie,
I'm so happy to see you. I'm
we're
so
just
happy
so
to see you on the field.
that you're out there, man, and it's to seeing you grow. And I know you're a very special player to the LAFC family because they've seen you when you were just a baby. Look, he's a dad now.
Yeah.
He's getting some gray hairs. No, mentira. But it's great to see you part of that and to have gone through such a big experience and to come back at the other end, you're better for it. Para tener esa experiencia, se ayuda en tu carrera porque you've experienced it.
Sí, sí, hay veces obviamente situaciones que uno no quiere nunca vivir, pero esas situaciones te ayudan a crecer, a ser más fuerte y te va a ir formando, ¿no? Entonces, agradecido porque hicimos muy buen trabajo con la recuperación, agradecido con toda la parte médica, con todos los fisios, los doctores y los preparadores porque también pues hicieron parte de mi recuperación. Entonces, muy agradecido y todo eso pues obviamente me va a seguir haciendo mejor persona y mejor jugador.
9 months. That's a lot. But he was talking about all the help he got here from the staff here. It's a situation nobody wants to go through, but it certainly helps you become a better player and it gives you perspective. But he's in very good hands here with everything that's happened with LAFC. Upward and onwards. We'll see you there. Hopefully we'll see you on Friday, but we'll see you here at the summertime. LAFC. Anything you want to say to the fans?
Bueno, gracias por todo el cariño, por todo el apoyo, por estar siempre ahí presentes. Y bueno, vamos a seguir trabajando fuerte para que al final del año podamos celebrar todos juntos.
We'll celebrate together at the end. That's what we want.
Perfect.
How's your Spanish getting better? You're nodding. You're catching.
So, Eddie, I can understand you because you speak slower, and that's what I need.
Dude, the Colombians speak the best Spanish. That's what I say.
I think so.
I think so too, because you can understand. Like us Cubans, not so good. I can speak for our Mexican friends. We speak very fast, and we throw a lot of
Carlos, okay.
slang in there.
Don't tell him. Chiqui, Sifu, I can't understand.
And Muri, you can understand Muri?
Sometimes he's just so low. He needs this.
Beautiful.
He's so big. He speaks so low.
It's a beautiful Spanish. Just one man's opinion, but a two man's opinion. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Eddie. It was great to chat with you, and we'll see you very soon on the field as we continue to grow into that. We'll see you Friday night if you're at the game. If not, we'll be covering it here with 110 Football, and we'll be back here Tuesdays to take it all in with the arrival of Gareth Bale at some point. Anything from you?
Speaking of 110 Football, you look good in that 110 Football hat.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. We'll see you next week.